What do we do when there's an incident? The odor is very pungent, toxic, corrosive. Smoke may be present. So the number one thing you do if you have a leak or an explosion is evacuate. It probably won't be very difficult to tell people to evacuate because they will, but most important, get people out of the area. Don't go near the battery, and then ventilate the area until odor is no longer present. If you have doors, open them up. Turn on your ventilation system. It will eventually clear, but when you do need to go to the battery to clean it up, you need to wear personal protective equipment. You need to wear acid gas respirator. That could be as simple as something you could find in a hardware store for acid gases in the paint department. Protective clothing, nitrile gloves, and safety goggles. Class D fire extinguishers. This is something we need to talk about because many companies will specify that Class D fire extinguishers are required in a lithium battery storage area. Class D is made to handle metallic fires. They should only be used to fight lithium metallic fires. It's very, very unlikely that a lithium fire will be present even after a cell explosion. When a cell explodes, the lithium is consumed in the explosion, so you will not have lithium metal present. So the issue is people thinking they have to use a Class D after an explosion. So the point is only use Class D on a metallic fire for lithium. You need to have ABC extinguishers available in a lithium storage area as well to fight the fire that may occur that is not related to the battery. So once again, Class D is for fighting metallic fires, and they should only be used for that. Do not be lulled into a false sense of security thinking this Class D is going to put out something around a lithium battery. Contact with electrolyte. This may happen if there's a leak. If you put your hands on a battery that's leaking and then touch something on your skin or your eyes, you will have contact with electrolyte. If you get it in your eyes, it's going to be very painful. You're going to need to see a doctor, go to the emergency room, and they're going to have to flush your eyes out with a saline solution because it will be very, very painful. If you breathe the SO2, if you feel there's fumes that are causing breathing problems, you need to seek medical attention. If you get electrolyte on your skin, it can be treated by washing with soap and water. Generally, that should be okay. If you still have difficulties afterwards, go see a doctor. If a battery explodes, obviously there's shrapnel and such. And if there's injuries due to it, you go to the emergency room. Hot battery, as Craig mentioned, if a battery becomes very warm and you don't know why, well, you probably have an incident occurring. There may be a short circuit going on. The first thing you should do is evacuate, get people away from it. If a battery explodes in the distance, it's not going to hurt anybody. If you think you have a short circuit that's pretty obvious, you know why it's doing it, remove it, and then get away from it. If you do have it, if you are able to remove the short circuit, still get away from it just in case it does explode afterwards. You're going to need to wait for the battery to cool completely, and it could take as long as 24 hours. But personnel should always stay away from it during that time. If it can be done immediately, put the battery in a container or cover, but don't waste time. Number one, evacuate personnel. If a battery explodes in the distance, it's not going to hurt anybody. If you're standing over it while it explodes, well, you could have injury or even worse. A hot battery, what do you do with it once it is hot? Monitor the temperature from a safe distance using like a IR thermometer or a thermal imager. We have these FLIR cameras that look like a cell phone, but they are detecting infrared heat. They're very, very sensitive, and you can see exactly what's hot on a battery. So if you can use this to monitor the battery from a distance, this is great. If you have no way of monitoring the battery, if it got hot, you're going to have to wait for 24 hours. It will cool off eventually or explode in the worst case, but it will cool off. It will consume itself in the short circuit condition and eventually cool off. You're going to have to wait 24 hours. I'm going to say it again. Don't be around a battery that's hot. Once it does get cool, you can move the battery from the area, and then you could dispose of the battery or cells in accordance with your normal waste or recycling procedures. So after an explosion, kind of similar, wait for it to cool off. It will cool pretty quickly at that point, but remove it once it's cool, place it in a plastic bag or tubing, fill the bags with completely with baking soda. This will help neutralize the ethyl chloride electrolyte. Place it in a second plastic bag, and then dispose of the battery through normal disposal channels. Here's a picture of some baking soda. Well, I found in the States, go to the pool section, you could buy 10 or 12-pound bags of this baking soda. This is a great way to get baking soda in bulk. Again, in a pool supply area, like in Walmart. If you have electrolyte spillage on your work surfaces, you can clean it with baking soda and water, and it should neutralize everything. Compromised housings. This happens downhole quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but it does happen. Where a battery has exploded downhole, causing a big old crack on the side, just like you see here. There's not a lot you can do with this. The next picture shows another example. You'll see parts of batteries maybe coming through the cracks, but at this point, there's not much you could do except dispose of it like you would with a leaking or exploded battery. Don't try, go to the next slide. Don't try to remove the leaking or exploded batteries from a housing, because you'll never be able to do it. It can be very hazardous if you're trying to do it forcefully. So it's best just to wrap it with plastic, baking soda, and to dispose of it, you have to use a packing group 1 case, kind of similar to what's pictured here, a wooden crate like that, to transport compromised batteries. Heating batteries. It is extremely dangerous to apply external heat sources to batteries. Yes, these batteries are rated for high temperature, but the issue here are the heat sources themselves. They can fail. They have failed in the past. And if you're heating batteries in the presence of people, it could lead to an explosion. It could cause injury. It can cause death. So it's very important that you never apply external heat sources due to the risk of explosion. As I said, heating devices can fail, and they will fail if over time. And if a heating device fails and overheats the battery, again, it could cause an explosion, causing bad things. Depassivation. Reason this is in a safety presentation is depassivation should only occur using resistive loading. You should never use heat to depassivate a battery. If you do feel you want to warm the battery up a bit, you could put it outside, put it in sunlight, put it in a room that is heated with ambient heat, such as where you are, but do not expose any heat source other than ambient heat when depassivating the battery. Depassivation techniques can vary with users, and if you have any questions about that, please contact us. We'll work with you on the best way to depassivate a battery. Storage of batteries. We recommend you use the original shipping containers. Pull them out of the shipping container, put them back in when they're done. And you can use those shipping containers to dispose of batteries. Store the batteries in a cool, air-conditioned environment. Main reason for that is performance. If you have an air-conditioned area, the batteries will not passivate as much as if they were outside in the hot sunlight. Don't drop batteries. Make sure, this could obviously damage batteries, break things, and such. Don't and never disassemble batteries. If you have a need to disassemble batteries, please call us. We'll talk about it, but don't try to disassemble a battery yourself. When checking voltage, ensure short circuit conditions are avoided. Don't cross the leads if you're trying to check voltage. Just real quick, there's 3 regulations in the U.S. This only applies to the U.S. concerning lithium batteries. There's the transportation 49 CFR that talks about how you transport batteries. OSHA considers lithium batteries an article, and it must be part of your hazard communication. And then the North American Emergency Response Guide has a page on it, what you do if a battery or a cell is involved in an accident while being transported. shipping batteries, just briefly, this is not to replace an actual shipping course. I just want to make you aware of this, but large lithium batteries, in other words, any type of battery used in a downhole tool is considered a large battery. They are regulated as dangerous goods by air and hazardous materials by ground. Regulations are similar for both, except for differences in paperwork. And most important, all shippers of lithium batteries must be properly trained. You must go through a shipping training course to ship a battery anywhere. And they're considered class 9. You must have proper documentation, and shipping courses will talk about that. You must use specification packaging. Any battery received from us will have that UN mark on the side of it that shows it is a specification packaging. And all batteries must be tested to 38.3 UN specification. This ensures the batteries are safe for transport. And again, training is required. The regulatory agencies probably look most at the training part of it when they come to audit you, and that has happened. It does happen both in the US and Canada. US DOT, Transport Canada will go visit places that transport batteries. And the number one thing they look for is shipper training. And if you're not trained and you're caught shipping batteries, there could be very high fines for that type of thing. Also, a 24-hour number needs to be included on the paperwork. And you have to use your own number, not our number, if you're shipping batteries. For disposal, it's very similar to shipping batteries. You can go ahead and use Excell Battery packaging. We can also provide wooden crates if you'd like. If you want to dispose of a battery in a battery barrel for whatever reason, it can be disposed of that way. And pretty much the requirements are the same as new batteries, except the specification packaging is not required. One thing real quick, materials of trade, I believe this only applies to the United States. There's a thing called materials of trade. This allows you to transport hazmat, in other words, batteries, to your work location without the requirements for shipping papers and training and such. So if you need to take batteries to to a rig site to do your job, you could put batteries in your car and take them to the site where you're doing the job. I just want to make you aware of this, but this does not count if you're transporting batteries for someone else to have them do the job. So if someone gives you batteries to take it to the rig site for another company and you drop it off and you leave, this materials of trade does not apply to that. It's only if you are taking batteries yourself for your own job.